We're here.
We are here.
Wow. We got people starting to come in. Let's see. Yeah, get into the chat, everyone. I want to see who's here. I want to see names. I want to see the vision of the energy that we're going to be having today and sharing.
Give us your hellos because Jeff and I have already been moving the energy just in the last 3 minutes, and we're
We
both like pretty
we're
much speechless if that's believable for
we
us.
really are. I think, isn't it funny, Stacy? Like how we've been on for like 2 or 3 minutes leading up to this, and we're just like, okay, we need to start this thing. So we got people coming in. This is great. Rob, all the way from LA. Well, I suppose it depends on where you're coming from because I'm in Massachusetts, right? Michelle, welcome. Desiree. I love how Desiree wrote, I am here for this. Like, isn't
Mm,
that a statement?
totally.
Simona, awesome. Mr. Kevin Hunting, good to have you, man. Same thing with Steve. Oh, Andy McPherson, Rob's here. It's so good to see names. Eugene. Oh, wow, this is awesome. Wow, I hope you're all ready for this because I don't even know. This is a very a vulnerable space for Stacy and I, as much as I'll speak, and you can say, but this is a very vulnerable space for us to come here and do this because we're always teaching. We're always mentoring and coaching and being on that side. And obviously we do our own work. That's how we progress. And this is a space where like we wanted just a conversation between her and I, which I think we started that conversation before we began, which we both, I think we felt this energy where we just stopped because we are already starting and we needed to just, this is it, right?
Yeah.
And we're very thrilled that you're whether you're here live or the recording to be a part of this because this is personal and I'm already friggin' emotional about this, but this is personal and it's real and our hope is that you really can take this for yourself and you can live the wildest life. This isn't just this is life, it's business, it's everything, you know? And we work a lot with people in business. Um, but isn't it all the same? You know, right, Stace?
All the same. I'm feeling it too. Like I'm on the brink of emotion and tears and just rawness and realness and the tenderness behind the two of us who pour our hearts and souls into serving powerfully people, but now giving ourselves the space publicly to serve us in the way of our truth and our vulnerability and our experiences that are unscripted. And whew, this is
Yeah.
something.
So let's start this off. Um, so coming into today, we're talking about our work, and we want this just to be this candid conversation. And I was just like accessing. I told you this, Stacy. I'm like, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come into this conversation today, and I'm gonna spend time prior to, and I'm gonna go through the work that you and I did together last year. For those that don't know, last year or so, it was actually literally the end of 2023. I hired you in like December.
Yeah, I was gonna say January or just yeah.
It was like literally the last couple weeks of December of 2023, and I was in this place of um I didn't know what I wanted. Like I didn't know what I remember. I didn't even know why I hired you. Like I was trying to vocalize why I hired you, but I didn't know. And I said, I'm like, let me go through this work again now because a shit ton of stuff's been created over the last year and a half, let's say, and I want to go back to that to see. And so I was going back this morning, listening to the audios that we had back and forth, Stacey, like your voice and the stuff that I sent and my notes. And I said, you know what? I feel compelled to share my notes. These are like my personal notes that um, I took from our conversations, from our coaching sessions, from the audios you sent me, from the work that I did, because there's so much. And you know what's funny, Stacy, is as I was going through this, like I was bawling my eyes out, but like in joy, and I'm laughing with this level of laughter I don't think I've ever laughed at before because I'm seeing like you're gonna all know what happened. So stay with us. Um, but as I know what's happened, as I'm reading, as I'm going through this, which I'm gonna share right now, I'm like blown away because I'm like, this was everything we talked about. This is everything I didn't know I wanted, but I allowed myself to dream. So let me go into this here. Um, so I didn't know what I wanted, and I couldn't see my vision, and I didn't have a vision. Um, and I knew there could be more. I was grateful, I was happy, I was fulfilled in every area of my life. Doesn't mean I didn't want more in different areas, but I was just genuinely happy. Um, and in coming to you and just like, I want to work with you, Stacy, and I don't know what I want, you came back to me and there were three areas and pop in at any time because this all came from you, right? There are three areas that you saw threads for me was deservedness, belonging, and security. And from a security standpoint, I learned that going for what I want would cost me the security and happiness that I already had. Like these points I'm going to be giving and these things I realized this is through a lot of work in between, but like these are like very dense points. To me, it's like that guy Eckhart Tolle who wrote The Power of Now. Like you read a sentence and it's like you could just read this for the rest of your life, you know? And so I had this immense happiness and gratefulness for what I had, and it was real. Um, and part of me believed it was the pinnacle of happiness. But then simultaneously, I was wondering, um, is it right? Because I wanted more and I knew there was more. And I had this nagging feeling that was more. And we're going to get into this for you later on, right?
Totally.
Um, but I never allowed myself to know what I wanted beyond that place that I was in, because knowing what I wanted would pull me out of the comfort of what I had already created. And I felt, I just believed, I never like thought of this belief, but I just believed it would cost me the security that I created, which I was very comfortable in and I valued so much. And I could rationalize all day, but I just couldn't feel, I couldn't ignore the feeling that I wanted more. And so then, of course, you come in with all your stupidly magical coaching questions. As we have a coach, a webinar full of coaches, right? But we all ask these questions. But so the questions, right? How do I know this is the fullest level of expression and happiness that I can be experiencing? Uh, how do I know that this is the most that I can have or do? How can I create happiness, joy, bliss, and abundance without the feeling that there has to be more, without the feeling that I'll lose my security? And it's these questions, that you asked me where I really started challenging these these. I'm grateful for them, right? I'm grateful for the security I created for myself and all that. But I would rationalize and it would just keep me in that space. And here's a nugget. My confusion absolved me from having to see what I really wanted. I don't know. I don't know what I want. I like this, but my rationalizations, that I was confused and it absolved me from having to see what I wrote, allowing me to see more, and my mind wouldn't allow me to see more because it would, my mind would disrupt the comfort and safety blankets that I had created. It's like, nope, you don't need that. Everything's good. So every time I had a thought, a desire, an inkling of a dream, an inkling of something more, inkling of something better, I talked myself out of it. I rationalized it. Any iPad coach out there, level three, I was a master at that. And I never, literally never gave myself the space to dream and to lean into it. And that's really what this work was for, as I came to realize. And there were things I talk about like my car, and I love my car, but, or I'd love to get a new car, but, you know, and my now wife, which is part of the story, been wanting a lake house before we met each other 8 years ago. And then we learned we want to be on a lake. I love to live on a lake, but my condo is great. And it's just like, oh, dream, wait, no, come back. So,
I want to
and
pipe in here because I'm having something like
yeah.
a remembering of these initial conversations, because I think this is also where like how you came to this conclusion and this awareness was like anybody who's here knows Jeff or I pretty well, or maybe you know both of us well. We're very verbose and expressive, right? But what was so cool about how these questions unlocked, that started unlocking things for you, was you went into your expression about something that seemed very insignificant. So the awakening didn't come from contemplating like deeper thoughts, like who am I meant to be on this earth or anything like that. Like it came from you talking about, what were you talking about that unlocked all of this themes that unlocked now? Yeah. What were you talking
my
about?
my robot vacuum. Like
Yes.
that December, I had just bought a robot vacuum, and you guys know, like it vacuums and it mops your floors. And I mean, it was the best robot vacuum you can buy. It was like on sale for like 1,200 bucks, right? And I struggled. Now, if you know my situation, in terms of my earnings and well, I'm gonna get into that of like my financials, you're like, why are you struggling? And I wanted it. I could not. Well, I did, but like this was like a month and a half. Like it was almost comical, which brought in this next work. Thank you for bringing that up, right? Because it brought in this next work of there's questions I started to ask myself more, but then there's a second theme of deservedness, right? And and this goes into the financial piece, right? I would save and I would hoard my money. And I don't consider it an unhealthy way, but when I look at it, I was questioning it because I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like I would I came to and I'm like, I'm sick of saving money. Like all I'm doing is saving money and investing. And while I'm grateful for that, there was almost like a question of like, to what point? Like, am I just gonna die and have money? And like you know what I mean? It was just weird. But there was this the fears around enoughness, deservedness, having to show myself that I'm worthy, feeling financially secure, all those things I was creating for myself, which were part of what I valued. But I wanted to get to a place where I had a more flowy relationship with money. So I wouldn't overspend, I wouldn't underspend, but it flowed through me and it would circulate, right? From wholeness and completeness. And that's where I found there were themes, and you were shown this on me so brightly with our work. There was a theme that I was out of alignment with money, around receiving and holding more financial abundance. I had a fear that money would cost me my freedom. More money would cost me my freedom or result in having excess responsibilities. Um, Having a fear around those added expenses around, let's say, another car, a lake house, or whatever. A robot vacuum started everything, right? But you can buy that and pay for it in cash, but then there's no ongoing expenses. But what about a car? What about a dream lake house? I never looked into it to that level where I actually, which I did, and I will. Um, it was a theme how I lived my life and how I created results. And while I was uber grateful what I had created, um, I wasn't getting attached to anything because of the fear of losing it. And then this came the solution of circulation, creating a relationship with money from a place of wholeness and completeness, um, from my values, not my value. This is so freaking significant right now. So I hope everyone will hear this. This took me a little to really wrap myself around, is because if you go back to what I just said, it was my fear of losing what I had created, and the deservedness. That's like me and my value as a human being and as a person. that has nothing to do with my values and what I value. So what did I value? So if I can create a relationship with money out of wholeness and completeness or from my values, it's not about me. It's what I value as a person. And so I valued simplicity. And as you brought the robot vacuum up, Stacy like made this point of like, Jeff, like your vacuum is the epitome of simplicity. Like you get to sit on the couch and your floors are being done. And to this day, I look you all in the eye. It's been a year and a half since I bought that freaking vacuum. I have not vacuumed or mopped my floors in my house, and they look fantastic. People are gonna be like, I wish I had an affiliate link. No, that's me, the business guy. Like, check this out. No, I'm not going there. So, but simplicity, right? So ready for this? So Stacy asked this brilliant genius of this woman. She's like, how can money be used as a vehicle to amplify the simplicity that I'm already experiencing? How can money be used to amplify the value, the vehicle, be used as a vehicle to simplify, to get the simplicity that I'm already experiencing, right? So I can have simplicity with or without money, with zero money or billions of dollars. But what would it be like having it on a boat and a lake house, driving the car of your dreams, whatever, right? How can I develop from a conscious place versus unconscious place? So it was the abundance versus the lack mindset. So she asked me more questions, right? Wouldn't it be cool if I had this money to experience simplicity in different ways, like the vacuum, and I could be so intentional about money and aligning it with my values, and what could I create with that? So then we went on to what do I really, really want? Not need, because we don't need anything. Not want, because want is from a place of lack and not having. But then Stacy throws this word at me, uh, desire, right? Desire. What do you desire? Desire, right, comes from a place of love. And I was always in this financial stress, financial anxiety piece. Um, but financial stress comes from a place of where I don't intend or desire. And financial anxiety never has existed for me when money was spent in alignment with my truest heart's desires. So all I deserved to do at this point was understand what I desire. It like actually was literally that simple. Do you want to say anything, Stacy?
No, it's just I love how you're describing, you're mirroring back, basically channeled questions and transmissions that I don't even remember saying or doing most of the time. And so as you're mirroring it all back, it's like I'm receiving that wisdom myself, which of course we're going to talk about later. So it's just such a
Yeah.
gift. It's so cool.
This is from your this is like these are my like actual notes like that. That's why it's literally coming from your channeling that you shared with me, and then how I brought this to my world. And so I asked myself, what do I desire? And I mean, I would tell you, my now 19-year-old son at the time, you know what, 17, 18, he's into cars, and I love cars too. And he always ask me like, Dad, what's your dream car? What's your dream car? And it looking back, it's so damn sad I could not answer him.
Mm.
It's sad that it's not like just say Ferrari, just say what Porsche, whatever you want to say, just say something, dude. I couldn't even say it. I never allowed myself to dream like that. So I said, like, what do I desire? And I don't have to compromise. I can have my way with all my desires. Excuse me if I'm yelling, but I don't apologize, right? And I started with my car, and on January 4th of 2024, we had a session. It was a Thursday, and you were encouraging me like to ask me questions about this car that I didn't have, but my other car is so great and I love it, right? And I got off that call. This is application now, and I got off that call, and that night I sat down on the couch on my phone and I started looking at cars, and I started dreaming, and what if I drove a Porsche? What if I drove a BMW? What if I drove, and it didn't even matter what it was. And I started looking online and blah, blah, blah. And like, you know all this, Stacey, because I would share like audio message with you like at all hours. And that night I was on the couch and then in bed, and it's midnight, it's 1 a.m. I'm giggling out loud. And at the time, my now wife, she's sitting there like, what are you looking at? Like, what are you watching? Like, I'm just get and I'm there's this heat. There's this heat. I'm on fire. And I'm looking at these cars, and I'm just like, I was dreaming like probably for the first time. I want to say my intuition right now says ever. And it part of I don't feel sadness when I say that, but I don't really understand this emotion that's coming up. Um, I don't understand this right now, but I don't regret that. I'm not really sad about it, but when I say it out loud, it's just like, really, dude? I'm gonna be 49 next month, and you haven't really dreamed. And I think a lot of things in my, I'm not gonna go into this, but a lot of things in my life maybe stop me from dreaming because I was always that guy. And we all go through stuff that beat us down, you know? Um, but I fucking went to the next day. I dressed up and I went and looked at cars. I looked at Porsche, I looked at BMW, I looked at, and I saved Audi for last because Audi, if I had had a car I wanted, it was an Audi TT RS. You can look it up, whatever. Not important. And I drove one, and it was, I'll be honest, it was underwhelming. And I said, how much is the car? I hadn't looked at prices. I hadn't even thought about prices at all. And this isn't about money, right? But he's like 72,000. And like struggling to buy a $1,200 vacuum like n less than 2 weeks ago. When he said that to me, I remember this feeling, Stacy. It was just like, oh, okay. Like I don't even know. I don't even know. I just never gave myself permission to even feel that. It was just in a flowy, this flowy space. And so what else do you have? And he's like, well, let's go to the roof. I didn't know there was a roof. You know what I mean? Fast forward, he started this BMW. It was a BMW M4. He started it up. I wasn't even looking, and I turned my head and I was like, what the fuck is that? And my soul was like, I bought the car. And something that day shifted because when I'm in there, I remember this. I've been in that Audi dealer many times in the past looking at cars and just like, maybe someday, or didn't feel like I'd ever look at a price tag. No, I wish in my dreams. I had to walk away from the sales guy and went in the bathroom and I fucking cried. I was like, I just couldn't believe that I was in a place where I had the ability to do this. And when I say it wasn't money, it's it goes back to security and deservedness and self-worth and so much. I bought the car. And it's just like, and let me fast forward a little bit now because I want to leave space for you as well. Um, Bought the car. Interestingly enough, 3 months later, someone hit me. Um, Car was totaled. That was, I hate to use the word trauma because there's real big trauma out there, but that moment was traumatic for me. And it was so easy to let that go. But I pushed myself beyond that space and I said, what another opportunity to dream. Who gets an opportunity to now do this all over again 3 months later? And I expanded myself and went bigger and it was wild. But let's just go into this. So then it was that brought on all other passions of detailing cars. I love detailing cars. And it was like now all of a sudden I'm watching, 40, 50 hours of YouTube on detailing. And now I get all this setup and all this, everything you could want to detail a car. People are driving by my place asking, like, do you detail cars? Like, how much do you charge? Like, literally, like, it's unbelievable. The aquarium you see behind me, my son has aquariums in his room. And I felt this, I always wanted to go in his room. And I said, well, I listened to that. So I learned how to listen to what I felt, and then instead of rationalizing it, execute on it. Now I've got a 150-gallon aquarium in my office. I've got a 100-gallon aquarium downstairs with all these visions that come, and it just they flow, they go, they flow, they go. It's just coming through. My girlfriend of 18 years, no, my God, 18 years, um, of 8 years last that summer proposes to me, right? And that brings it up all another whole level of, I've been divorced before, and it's like, oh, she proposed to me, like, oh, you want to marry me? I was safe in that space. And oh, this is scary now. To the lake home that we've both been wanting for since before we met each other. And then now go with this, Stacy, right? There's something we said about like it's all out there until you put some numbers to it. And you ask questions like, what would it be like to buy your lake home now? What would it be like to buy your lake home in cash? I'm like, who is this woman asking me these questions? Because it just opens up yeah, you're a coach. It's like this is what we do. This is why we do this, right? And I'm like, and this heat comes back. This heat comes back. And I'm like, well, I call my mortgage guy and I'm like, let's go. What can we afford? And he sends back this approval letter for a $1.2 million home for my wife and I. Well, my wife and I, not at the time, right? But and like I bawled. I have the email. Like, and getting that letter made it so real. Like I'm like, wow. I started looking and looking and looking and was going to put in an offer. And it just fast forward, it wasn't the right time. It just wasn't the right time. And it was so hard to hold myself back because now I'm doing this with my wife. It's like me by myself. It's just like there's no there's no slowing down. You're the exact same way. But now it's just like, oh, I had to tamper that. I had to tamper that. Um, bring it to this year. This is like in the last month. I'm at my CrossFit workout. This woman and guy who we talked about how we want a lake house. They have a place up in New Hampshire on Lake Winnipesaukee. They're like, oh, hey, there's a place up there that is for sale near us. I'm like, send it to me. And I was great being here. I don't know if it was level 3 rationalization again, but I'm just like, you know why? Because when I didn't buy that lake house, what I did is I figured out what the mortgage would be, and I started paying myself every month for that lake house. Like I had the mortgage, and it was just going in my account. This is the story of me just having another buffer, right? And so I owned that lake house in my head and in my bank account.
But it wasn't a buffer. Like that's what's so cool about how you did it this
Thank you
time.
for that observation.
It was acting as if though your vision was inevitable because you believed in your desires.
Thank you. That's what it was. Because even in my account it said lake house mortgage. Like it was that. And so we looked into so this house came up, and this is the shift, right? I was like, we're always looking for one thing. It's like a lake house on the lake. And the realities of that is now we're selling this, we're doing this, we're taking on a bigger mortgage. There's a lot of responsibilities that in some ways go against my simplicity and the security. But then I asked those questions. How do I shift this? How do I create simplicity and still have the security that I want? And all the values of familyness, connectedness, experience, etc. And so I looked at these places and I said, do you know what? This is a condo near the lake. And I said, I was going to be putting on a down payment on a place close to what these places are going for. What if I bought this place in cash, didn't have a mortgage, didn't have any, and we could live this out. And like literally that weekend I was in Florida. Elisa, my wife, went up there. She FaceTimed me. We put an offer on the house. It was accepted. And we own it as of today. Like as of today, like we signed the papers last night and it's officially ours today. It's stupid. It's just, it's, and going back this morning, Stacy, Going back this morning, all those questions you asked me, what if you bought in cash and what if you could create this? I always would get financial anxiety around these things. And like I've set it up like unknowingly, but knowing this is like it's so a part of my consciousness, but it's so not. You'll say it better than me, right? There's this. I wasn't thinking of any of this stuff. I wasn't thinking of any of this stuff. So when I read through all our notes, the stuff that I shared, it's it was just application of it. I set it up so that like literally the home I live in now, the lake house that we live in, and everything we have, my car, and I'll talk about a boat, which is going to transition to you. Everything is paid for and everything is taken care of for my rental properties. That if I never worked a day in my life, and Elisa, for some reason, couldn't work a day in her life, I'm not saying it would be easy, but it's covered. It's covered in the power of all of this. I don't I just speechless. And
What you just brought full circle, Jeff, is like you redefined security. You had a definition of security that was coming from not the truth of who you were, and now you're experiencing true security. And you did the opposite of what you thought you needed to do to receive true security.
yeah, and it was always there.
It was always there.
It was always there. All of this was always there. And in fact, had I done this years ago, it would have been there even more because look what's happened real estate wise and everything, right? So it's always there. This is my could be the priciest time for anything, but it doesn't even matter. That's why this has nothing to do with money. When anyone ever says it's about them, it's not about the money ever, 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 ever. It's a connectedness, it's a wholeness, it's a fullness. And so then this is the culmination of this, which brings you and the whole reason we're here now is so we're gonna get a boat. We're gonna be on a lake. The whole reason for going up there is we're gonna get a boat. So that now I'm shopping for a boat. Like, who am I to be shopping for a boat? Like, didn't you register that if we have a lake house someday that we're gonna have a boat? And I'm like, I go up and look for a boat. Oh, and by the way, we just got married April 13th, which was this. I mean, this all, and that's, I'm not even going to go into that. That's another whole, like, yeah, but so yeah, we're married. And this is in a month. And now I go up and I'm looking for boats and I'm looking and I'm just enjoying this process and challenging myself and challenging again the security of, oh, I could get this. And my mom and dad and other people, well, you get a used boat and blah, blah, blah. And I found the boat I loved. And then, well, then Stacy's in my head going, well, what if? What if? And I asked, what if? And I asked the guy, what if? He's like, let's go price it out. What if? What if I got everything I wanted? What if I ordered a new boat? What if I got a boat with all the horsepower and more that I could ever dream of, that I could ever want? I said, how many times am I gonna buy a freaking boat in my life? I don't even know the answer to that question. It could be a ton, or this could be it, and I don't even care. And I just picked the boat I wanted. I got everything I wanted, and I'm on the way home and you just pop in. You just pop in because I wasn't actually thinking in that moment what would Stacy say, but I'm driving home and you pop in and I'm like, Stacy deserves to hear this because all this culminated from our work. And I call you and I'm just gonna give it to you now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I gotta,
It's your
okay.
turn.
Now shit gets real again.
Yeah, so
Just
I'm exhausted
now,
now.
now let me bring it all back down to the beginning. Uh, for me. So when Jeff called, um, I actually was, now I'm gonna get emotional. Whew. Actually is walking, hiking. It's my place that I go to get clear.
And I was asking myself the same question, the same fucking question that I was asking Jeff. This isn't it. What do you actually really fucking want? What you've been doing, it's not it. It's not you. You get an idea, you jump into it, and then you back into safety and security. What do you actually want? And Jeff popped into my mind while I was walking. And I was like, God, that was fun. What a fucking ride to have somebody recognize or not even know why they're hiring me, but it's like a soul contract. And he just knew. And he stepped into the biggest investment that I've ever asked a client to make. I made that offer 2 times and 2 people stepped into it last year. $15,000 for 8 weeks. I stretched my own belief to make the invitation to Jeff to step into that level of container. And there's no question that that's what created, that was the impetus, the catalyst, the alignment that allowed you, pushed me to show up as that level of coach and pushed you to show up as that level of client. And what we created and did together like was magical in all the ways, as you all just heard. And now I'm walking on this trail and I'm saying, where the fuck did she go? Who is this? Who is this person walking in this shell of a half-ass, saying all the right things, doing all the right things, showing up in the right ways, following old paradigms of business and messaging that is just like, my soul is like dying and I'm pretending it's not. And I'm like having a real talk with myself, a real fucking like, it's time to truth bitch slap yourself, Stacy, because you are so out of integrity and so out of your truth right now. And again, that's when Jeff dropped in. And then when he called and we finally connected, and by the way, when Jeff left a message, this is the message: Stacy Hartman, Jeff St. Laurent, call me. It's like, what is he? Nothing. It's like just straight neutrality. Like, again, Jeff and I are not we're people of many words, but that was it in the message. And I just felt like, holy shit, Jeff just called me and I was just thinking about him. Like this telepathic thing just happened. And then when he told me everything that has been happening, and you've kept me in the loop, Jeff, and we've, connected throughout since our time together. Man, we worked together for 2 months. I mean, that's how long we worked together. And this is the life that you've taken and created. It didn't require a year or hundreds of sessions. It just was like, again, your readiness, and you were the epitome that came to me in that moment of like, this is who I work with. I work with change makers. I work with people who are ripe, who are ready, who are open, who don't even know why they're hiring me, but they just feel like they're supposed to because they have this deep intuitive knowing. And when you told me everything that had happened, you were my mirror. You were my remembering that I was asking for from myself. You reminded me of the power of this work when we stand in our truth and when we stretch ourselves to do what we're really capable of instead of just what is easy for us. So, Jeff, I never told you that, but even when we started working together and the other client who came in at that price level, it was a beautiful stretch for me. It was like this is when the next level coach shows up. So when we think about how we charge or what we charge, like how do you create pricing that makes you flinch but forces you to be the most powerful fucking coach you can possibly be, and your clients are holding you to a whole new level because of who they are. So since that
So Stacey,
remembering,
hold on real quick. When I called you and I just was blabbing your ear off, and then I don't know if you remember, I said, close me.
yeah,
You remember that?
that's exactly it. Yeah.
I said, close me. I'm like, what are you doing? Close me. Whoo. And like, because I've been on the other end as well, I knew it was stretching you. Like when you presented that offer to me, like it stretched the shit out of me, but I also knew I could feel the energy. And it was, and that charged me up more too, because I knew I'm like, oh, she's walking the talk. I knew you just channeled it and you're like, anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that back, because it's like that's the magic. Like when you're finding those like perfect fit, again, soul contract, essentially. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like it was divinely assigned way before it happened. It is a true mutual like stretch and push. And
and we feed off of each other. And I think so many of us think like, oh, I have to have it all figured out. I got to get my shit together. And it's like, no, like if you're flinching or if you're kind of feeling like, oh, fuck, am I really going to offer this? Like, whoo, you know, or am I really going to, you know, make an invitation to Jeff is a extremely, obviously high caliber, well-versed, heart-centered, long time successful entrepreneur. I mean, a dream client for me that now is right in front of me, and I know I have to up level to even be in this conversation, but he's already seeing the future version of me that I could feel but I couldn't step into. And so now this time it's like Jeff provides this mirror of the power of allowing myself to be fully expressed in a coaching relationship, to stretch my clients to places that are beyond their wildest dreams, and to stretch myself while doing it. And here's where the rubber really hit the road. So get this. This is how forgotten I was. Do you want to know what I've been charging the last, I don't know, probably year since I made that offer and then backed off from it? $15,000 for 6 months. What happened there? How did you go from that? How do you go from that, 15,000 for 8 weeks, to 15,000 for 6 months? Talk about worthiness, deservedness, and belonging. The exact same 3 things that I supported Jeff with, I'm sitting in that moment in the muck with and not seeing it. And so I go to a mastermind that I manifested with my mentor, and I hold all this intention. And I know I'm so done playing small. I'm so done just barely scraping the surface of the gifts that I have to share. It's time. Like I'm in my own ripeness and readiness. And I hold this intention. I'm stepping into this room as not the person that I am operating from now, but the person that I am stepping into that I don't even know yet. And my mentor mirrors back to me. I say, here's who I am in the highest expression of myself. And I channel the truth of who I am in the room with all multiple 7-figure entrepreneurs. Again, not that that matters, but I think it's interesting because technically I didn't deserve to have a seat in that room, but I did in all the ways. Of course I did. So I channel, here's the highest expression of myself. And my mentor says, and what do you charge for that? I'm like, oh, fuck. 15,000 for 6 months. He's like, there's a huge mismatch here. You don't hold that kind of gift and work that deeply with people for 15,000 a month. They can't even see you for 15,000. Look at that Freudian slip. For 15,000 for 6 months. They can't even see you. You are invisible to the people that you are here to be helping. Your offer should be at a minimum 50,000 to 100,000 for 6 months. That's who you are meant to serve, and that is how you are meant to. That's how you're showing up. But it's a mismatch. So I'm like, as he says it, now I've neutralized this. So when he first said it, I was like, oh shit, like how the heck am I ever going to do that? But now it's neutralized. So that's the journey that I've been on in the last 2 weeks. And the true expansion is, how do you shift identity and come into alignment? Because what Jeff is talking about, it's like, I know this stuff. I teach this stuff. I channel this stuff. It all starts with desire, true heart's desires. It's not that I need a $50,000 to $100,000 or $200,000 a year client. It's that in order for me to honor the gifts that I have to share with the world, I have to step into that, or I am literally like snuffing the level of gift that has been given to me. And so what's really cool about this is when you're out of alignment, the universe starts to show you. So I, would always talk about how, like, pretty much anybody that I talk to that feels the call to work with me, on the sales call, it's just sold, done, right? It's like easy, 95% conversion rates. All of a sudden I'm making this $15,000 offer. No, I can't stretch into that. No, nothing. It's just like the mirror, right? I'm not saying that about any from like judgment or hierarchy or anything, but it's like the mirrors are all there for us. If things feel like they're not working, it's not because you're charging too much. Maybe it's because you're charging too little. That's what's happening in my world. And so, since Jeff and I connected again, now he's like feeding me back the medicine that my soul was asking for by being the mirror. Since then, and since starting to embody this version of myself, I intuitively see an event that has 100 entrepreneurs. The room is holistic. It is focuses on emotion, spirit, business, four main categories. Physical health, I suppose, maybe. I don't remember the other one. But as soon as I see it, I'm like, I know that I'm supposed to be there. And the requirement to be in that room, everybody in that room is a 7 to 9 figure entrepreneur. Many of them have had huge exits, and they are all coming in because they're looking for leadership and growth and how to play at the next level holistically beyond just kind of scaling their business. And I'm feeling like, and I know I'm meant to be in that room. Two, I'm meant to be speaking to that group, and I can feel the truth in all of this. And I reach out to the company and I book a call and I just say, I just want to be completely transparent. I don't technically meet your financial requirements to be here. However, I believe I'm living the life and created the business that almost every entrepreneur in that room would want to have. Because when I am in my highest expression, I have a very simple business. I go deep one-on-one. I'm not looking to scale my business and add a bunch of complexity, much like Jeff's business. Everything is very intentional and very clear and clean about how we share our gifts. And high profit margins. I mean, that's the biggest difference between a lot of the things when we're seeing out there 7 and 9 figure entrepreneurs. The complexity and the profit margins are through the roof low. And so anyways, all that to say, I'm kind of in my head right now, but all that to say, as I'm talking to the person and just expressing myself authentically and owning and embodying the truth of who I am, he starts crying and I get the invitation to be in the room. So now I'm heading in June to embody and live this truth of who I am that I now remember that I forgot for like a year. And I feel so in such deep trust and knowing. And I think the message that really stands out to me as I like feel into this space, because I'm not her yet, but I am her energetically, is that in the meantime, while it's materializing, we always have everything we could ever possibly need. And there's no rush and there's no urgency. And I so wonder when she comes into full being and when it materializes in her world around her, what that's going to be like. And I don't have to do anything between now and then until that happens, because in the meantime, I'm fully supported, I'm fully guided, I'm fully provided for. The right people find me. And the mirror that you just gave me this right when you started sharing, Jeff, was we've known each other for a long time, but it's this remembering of I don't need to message. I actually don't even need to market.
Yeah.
I just have to show up and hold the presence and the love that I feel in my heart, and the people that I am destined to help come back home to themselves find me. And so Jeff and I are both projectors in human design. And so it's really about when we and anybody, when we're holding the frequency, when we're holding the vision, when we're holding ourselves, it's amazing how everything just finds you. The car found you, the boat found you, the house found you. You were invited into the things that created heat in your body. I'm invited into the rooms. They find me. I'm invited in by really incredible clients like Jeff to do the work. And I'm really excited about this version. And I think the wobbly part of it that I'm asking all the support around me to help me with is I will forget again. The wobbly part, though, is going back. And I'm going to share something else here too, but going back is really easy and really comfortable. I can help coaches build businesses to 6 figures, multiple 6 figures in my sleep. And that's really of high service to a lot of people. But that's not my soul's role anymore. That's not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be talking about strategy. I'm not supposed to be talking about messaging. I'm here to usher in the meta conscious revolution, my book, Meta Conscious Entrepreneur, which was when I was still in my remembered state when that channeled in. And the wobbly part is it's so freaking easy to play small. It's so easy to go back to what's always worked. It's so easy to go back and teach the things that people need, but ultimately you no longer need. So my accountability and the intention I'm asking for those of you who are here, that I ask my assistant and the people on my team that have been with me for many, many years, is hold me to my new standard if you see me slipping, because she's um she's been amazing and she's been great, but she's not the one who will go to her grave all used up. And that's what I'm playing. That's where I want to play.
You want to use it up.
Yeah.
That's
Let's
playing.
see what we really got here.
Yeah, that's playing at the level that you know you can play at. And you know what, Stacy? It's so easy. It's so easy to forget. Like you, it's not our faults, right? It's just we're human. We just forget. That's why going back to this, that's why I'm so grateful for this space that we've created today with everyone too, is because we just, it's so important to remind and keep it, be conscious enough to keep that in front of us. And that's why we do what we do as coaches. That's why we're so passionate about it, because other, this just, it just lends insight into human behavior and how people are. And it's so easy for people to walk away from this space because it can be so overwhelming. And but like when you just allow yourself to walk into it and just be, I don't know how else to say it, you just be, it's just, it's nuts. It's so nuts. It's so nuts. I don't know what else to say.
I know. What's coming up for me is so in this metamorphosis, this uh, redefinition of truth, or the next version of myself or ourselves, it all starts with desire, right? So, like, for me, it's like I'm pulling back in. And I just did an exercise. I was called to do an exercise this morning, and it was um, 7 times I held the space for the question, what do I truly want? And I let my heart speak, and I let my body speak, not my mind. And what was really cool about the exercise, and this for those of you that are iPet coaches, which are probably most of you, is that everything that came through every time I did it was the true goal, was things like playfulness, lightheartedness, uh, bringing an energy of love to every room you enter. Like it wasn't the material, it wasn't those things. And every single time it was like another layer of desire. And it's the desire that creates that heat that you're talking about, Jeff. It's like it's so true and it's so right
Oh,
and it's so aligned. And it's amazing when we give ourselves permission to go there and what that looks like.
that heat is like intense. Like that's and I hope everyone knows what that is. That space where you're just so aligned with a desire, like nothing can stop you. There's not a resource in the world, time, energy, money, relationship, vision that can stop you. There's one more thing I want to share. And in the midst of all this, I read this book called Die with Zero. Very simple concept, right? If we knew the day we die, how do we just utilize everything? Like you said, I want to go to the grave all used up. I love that statement you created. All used up. Like it's just, that's it. I'm ready. And there was one thing in there, there's one statement that has stuck with me, and it's our ability to extract enjoyment from money declines with age.
Mm.
I can't even my parents just moved into independent living in Florida. They're awesome. They love it there. And I spent some time with them over the last, couple, 3 or 4 months or whatever. And you see people in there, I'm like, this is it. Doesn't, this is it. Like this, they're in this beautiful space, and you give them 100, they probably got, millions of dollars, you know, what are they doing with it? Right? But you give that $1 million to my 19-year-old. I can't even, or like someone middle-aged or our age-ish, right? Like they're just, you know what I mean? And it's just our ability to extract enjoyment from money. And it doesn't mean you need millions, right? It's not about the volume of it. It's just about whatever it's there. It just, and that's the flow. It goes back to the flow in the relationship. Because once we unlock that flow and that ease, there's that circulation that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. And even as you say that, the enjoyment of money, it's like I want to challenge that though. It's like, because money is such a powerful tool for amplification. And again, you keep saying, and actually the post that called you into like this readiness or this timing was about money that I had posted back in December, a year and a half ago. And it's like, gosh, I really feel like our paradigms and definitions of money, like it's on such a pendulum. It's like, and if when we like a pendulum of um it's bad, it's not everything. You get better with wisdom is kind of like that pendulum of like uh detachment, which it can be genuine detachment, but if you're truly detached, you're perfectly happy still receiving more money even though you have more than enough, right? And if there's um any like good, bad, right, wrong, this is the right way, the wrong, like then obviously it's still operating in this pendulum of money. And so my big vision is that, and actually this is the messaging that's coming through stronger for uh the the people that I'm here to serve, and really the message of that came through in my book many years ago. And it's this: you get to have consciousness mastery, spiritual mastery, full presence, unconditional love awakening, and not have to have it cost you your ambition, external success, wealth, or anything else. Like it's really the both and it feels like so many people believe, if we go back to, when we first started working together, like there was a belief that you had to compromise your security and simplicity in order to pursue true desires. Now it's like people believe that they have to compromise their wealth, ambition, and success, which when it's conscious, it feels really alive
Mm.
for spirituality and consciousness. And it's like, actually, they get to feed each other. We get to have the wholeness of both.
That's powerful right there, right? The wholeness of both, having both of those pieces.
Yeah. Because
100%.
ambition and like the feeling you're going to get on that boat and the feeling that we got from our cars, or like it's not that it's what you said, so what you mirrored so great. It's like it's not that like that it's like you're receiving it as another experience through your wholeness and completeness. And it's like, why would we deprive ourselves of more experiences that are available to us because of some weird money beliefs?
It's true. And that goes back to remember the bath water we talked about and with money, and just how the bath is pure, it's clean, you fill it with water, assuming it's all pure, right? And we get into it, and when we get into it, right, money becomes what we make of it. Money is this pure, clear energy, but what we put our own beliefs and thoughts and energies around it, that's when we get in the bathtub and it might become dirty and mucky and whatever. That's all it is. It's just what we're
Yeah.
putting it. But otherwise, without it, it's just this pure, clear, flowing entity.
Yeah. It can be unconditional love, just like anything else can be.
And this is where this all comes into business. I know we're at the top of the hour, right?
Mm.
It comes into business too, but like this last year, business wise, with all this work, I I thought I was wanting to focus on my business and what that was going to be. And I told you this, like I was doing all this other work and I didn't even know I was doing it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm working on this. It was just like it was in flow. Um, but how that translated to my business, I created the best income year of my life in my like stupidly like it was just like what did I do? What did I do? And my clients and how it translated to them, it even as I talk about it out loud, I look at that and I look at the people and what they're doing, and I'm just like, this isn't like, oh, just luck, or this isn't just like this is all created through this manifestation of alignment and purpose and letting go.
Yeah,
It's yeah.
it's wild. It's wild.
How's that?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, let's turn the page here. I don't know, Jeff, do you have a few minutes if people want to share
I have
or
I have tons of minutes.
ask? Awesome.
I got
So,
many,
yeah,
many minutes.
ooh, we're going to turn it over to y'all. And we'd love to just hear what's standing out to you or what, questions are popping for you or what this means for you. And, you have us here for another 30 minutes or so, if that's what you desire. If that's what you desire.
If that's desire. Let's have a sip of water.
Let's.
I love some of the comments, like Kevin wrote, I know I'm here in this moment for a reason. These messages are making him really uncomfortable and excited about what's to come. Like
Mm.
I've seen a thread, there's a lot, but I've seen a thread of that. Like, remember from the first comment, I forget it was Desiree, let's say, and they're here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, good. Mm.
And Eugenie, like it's landing for me, the whole desire driven momentum. It can be really, I don't know what the word is. I'll just use scary for lack of a better term. In the place where you just surrender, the surrender,
Mm.
just surrendering. Wow. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been coming through really strong, like as I'm hearing people, talking about what do I desire, in the desire piece. So I did a retreat and this message was starting to come through even while I was in my forgotten state. Well, because I was channeling, the messages still come through, but I don't always hear what I'm channeling, so that I don't get to receive them. But it became really clear, like desire is the catalyst for our evolution, like that heat that you feel, Jeff, and how we feel desire and giving ourselves permission to like see and feel that desire. It's like I don't believe there is evolution without it because what it does is the desire starts to pull us on this path of refinement. And so like it starts to reveal all of the places that we're level threeing or the hidden beliefs. Like the desire is like the unlocker of this journey to refinement. And then the refinement journey is all about then how do we come into energetic alignment with the desire. And then as soon as we're in energetic alignment, it must manifest. Like it must, like we are an exact energetic match for the desire. But that journey, like there's the surrender that you're talking about. But where I got stuck in my forgotten states is that journey of refinement. Like I'd see the desire and I'd claim it. And then it would start feeling too uncomfortable. So I'd go backwards as opposed to like recognizing and knowing like all of this discomfort and all of this stretch and all of this stuff that's like all the shit hitting the fan. A lot of times it's like the things falling away, like boatloads of clients leaving all at once, or, getting a lot of no's on sales conversations. Like all that stuff is there to guide us on the journey of aligning to the desire. And it's the second that we bail then and go back to comfort, we just killed our own evolution. And that's why I love that this conversation has been about desire, because I do believe and know that when we give ourselves permission to go there, we're asking for our own evolution and growth.
Yeah. Yes. And listening to ourselves, like listening to ourselves. I'm just gonna just see if this comes out. I was feeling, I was, call it anxiety, call it whatever I was feeling, an uneasiness. And then you said to me something like, what if that's, do you remember, what if that's not fear? What
Mm.
if it's just your intuition? Was that it?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
feels
yeah.
like it's it. What if that's fear? So I thought it was fear, but it was just intuition. That was significant. Uh, it's funny this came up. So when we feel, and that's what I've seen as I felt those feelings, I've started to see those feelings differently. Because remember earlier, something happened. I don't remember what I said, and I was getting emotional, and I'm like, I don't even know why this, I don't understand this emotion right now.
Mhm.
I don't even know what that was, but the as we get older, when we're younger, when when kids have experiences, they don't understand their emotions. They just know good and bad. I feel good or I feel bad. They don't know resentment or like all the complicated emotions, jealousy or you know what I mean, even rage or how to label it. So I've learned, I think for us to start to understand the feelings we're having, it's giving us more credit for what we feel as intuition versus fear. Just a fear's such a irresponsible, non acceptance of responsibility emotion. Like, oh, I'm scared. They're like, no, I'm feeling I don't want this, or I'm feeling like I want this. It's my intuition telling me this is right or it's wrong.
Mhm.
There's a responsibility with that.
Yeah. And how, and as you're saying that, it's like, what is it, fear or intuition? And not even intuition if it's like, I think a lot of times we mistake fear for misalignment. Oh, I'm afraid and it doesn't feel good, so it must not be aligned. And it's like, well, actually, what if you're
Okay.
afraid because it's aligned with the future version of yourself that you aren't yet? And so, of course, it feels out of alignment because it's out of alignment with who you are now. But if you want to stay who you are now, then you should listen to it. But if you are feeling fear because it's like, to me, like, even booking that call, I wanted to procrastinate. I was like, ooh, I should probably like lock in my energy a little bit more before I book this call, and that's what I love so much about you, Jeff, is like you very much are like, you feel it and then you just get straight into action. Like, and you, rather than like wait till the fear goes away or whatever, you just freaking do it. And that's why you've created what you've created so quickly, is you feel the fear and you don't let the fear like slow you down. And that's why you evolved like to the level where you became the person who was living his vision board that he created however many years ago. Because rather than just letting the fear be like, ooh, is this in alignment or out of alignment, it's like, well, it probably is in alignment with the version of yourself that you're stepping into. But it feels like it's out of alignment because you're still gauging if it's in alignment based on who you are instead of who you are becoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that timeline piece. You talked about our future selves and aligning with that future self that we're not yet. You talked about that for yourself today,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
There's like, oh, I'm here now, but there's that future self, and who is that person, and what does it feel like to be in that space and play at that level?
Yeah, it is, and it's like, so I'll just share with you guys this process of how I'm embodying this version of myself. Is everything that I'm doing in my life, I'm seeing through the lens of her. And so as I'm working with my current clients who are paying and investing at the level that they're at, I am seeing them as though they are invested at the level that my future clients are invested at. So I'm choosing to up level my game fully, at that level with everybody who's right in front of me. I'm now posting as her, not, there's no stair stepping. It's like, it's very precise and it's wobbly, but it's like, we just embody it. We just choose it and we say, I am her now. And how does she move through her life? And what does she say yes to? And what does she say no to? And how does she show up? And it's so interesting because you actually have full access to that future version of yourself right now, and because your soul knows him or her so well. And so I just have to tune in. I just choose to tune into my soul and say, hold on a second, is this old Stacy or is this Stacy who's here now? So you can see I'm collapsing these timelines, not because I need it to go faster, but because I'm willing to step into the fire of my own refinement, as painful as it might be.
it might mean that everything's going to feel like it's going backwards before it goes forward. But I am unwilling and not available to not claim it now because it's available to me and stretch out the process just because I think I need to stair step this. So I should maybe I should go to 30K instead of 50, or maybe I should go to this instead. No, it doesn't need to be stair stepped. You get to quantum leap into that next version of yourself, and you just choose what does she do? Who does he embody? How does he communicate? How does he show up? How does he write? How does he, and what's really crazy is this next version of Stacy, man, business is simple. It is so simple. It's like, wow, could you imagine? Imagine as you step into your future selves that your businesses actually get simpler and clearer and cleaner, and you get to do even less and create more. Like this next version, that's how she operates. She shows up just in presence. She doesn't ever need to post. She doesn't ever need to market. She just lets her intuition guide her everywhere, and that's what happens.
So amazing. And it goes back to the simplicity of it all and what we value. That's a significant piece. It's what we value, not our value, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I think I missed some questions up there. We got into our.
Someone wrote, how do you tune into your soul? In the question.
How do you turn into your soul, Jeff?
You know, I don't think about it. I think that goes back to the trust and the intuition and just understanding who I am as a being, like a human being, and having compassion for that person and loving that person and recognizing that person has nothing to do with anything external, but it's just it's a soul who cares, it's a soul who's gracious, it's a soul who wants the better and the empowerment of any interaction that I have. And so it's through letting go and trusting. That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah. To me, the portal to soul is presence, and recognition of how the soul speaks versus the mind, and building the muscle of that discernment. So soul speaks very neutrally. There's no emotion in soul. It just is.
Mm.
And soul speaks through emotion and bodily sensations. So when Jeff talks about the heat, soul never speaks through the mind. And so, yeah, it feels like, it's, and so presence as the portal, even just affirming like again, how this chat was opened up. I am here. I am here. So before every one of my coaching sessions, I mean, I will do that. I just get so present and know that presence does all the work, no mind. And then my soul gets to do the work instead of my head, except for when I'm in a forgotten state and I'm marketing and selling from a forgotten state.
Yeah, and that's the difference between head and soul, head and heart, right? Fear, doubt, overwhelm, insecure feeling, it's all in our head.
Yeah.
And anytime we're feeling those, we're not in our soul. So I love how you said the discernment between the both of those.
The other thing, as I'm in this state of evolution, I'm discovering that every version of myself that I'm coming into, asks me more to release and let go of things that are out of alignment than create things that are in alignment. And so it's more an exercise of upholding new standards. And so I actually just did this, because again, like the mind will say, or like when I ask for accountability, like rationalization will say, so I'm invited to be on a podcast. And it's not, if I listen to my soul, that's not the room I'm meant to be in. But my mind will say, you don't know who's going to be in that room. Share your message, get it out to anybody who's willing to listen. And so this next version of me is very clear on the standards that she's upholding to keep the space open for the places her soul is meant to be and not just her mind.
Hmm.
And that requires a lot more no's than yeses.
the no's are the best things we could have when we tell ourselves no from a settling standpoint.
Yeah.
It's a boundary we set for ourselves of where we're willing or not willing to go, or who we're willing to be or not be.
Hmm.
Eugenia wrote, I find when I do live in that space, everything lands in my space almost effortlessly. And she wrote, it doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
Yet everything we talked about is why it actually makes sense, right? The less I control or hold on, the more things flow because I am me. And that's the thing. Like I said that today, like it's crazy, or like it's nuts, but it's not actually
Mhm.
at all. Like it's at all not crazy. It's not at all. Um, it actually makes complete sense. It's actually full alignment, and it's like there's no like anything that I share, you shared. Like I can't wait to hear where this is going to go with this conference and like wildness, right?
Yeah.
But it's actually all supposed to happen. It's you look back, of course it happened because this is where the space you created for yourself. So
Yeah, and
interesting.
even as you say, like the conference, so this is the other, I'm just going to share, again, this as 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 you move through your own shifts and next versions, and I just see consciousness as a spiral, right? And you just kind of are spiraling into that next version, and we get stuck in the middle, or we come back down the elevator or whatever. But as you talked about the conference, like what's really cool about that is you start to see and view everything that's happening. I have this term that channeled in at one point called synchronistic mayhem, that it's like there's still no attachment to it. So to me, that conference popping into my field was just like a little universal wink that says, let me show you where you're meant to be playing. But it doesn't have to be any, like nothing has to come out of that conference. Like there's like it's like a fun little game between me and the universe that says, I'm going to play in this new field, and you're going to play with me in this field, and let's just see what happens. But I'm not going to play in that field anymore. I don't want to play in that playground anymore, but I'm going to play in this new playground. And I'm going to be open to exactly what you said, Jeff, like all the surprises and delights that come with that. And I'm not going to make any one move that I'm making mean anything, because that's going to just collapse me right back down into the frequency that this version of me does not hold, right? So it's like it's super exciting, and you can feel. The last time I had this feeling was when I went to the Hay House Writers Contest, and I knew when I watched it was like this deep knowing, one, that I was supposed to be there, and two, that the book deal was mine. It was done. It was complete. And it was just like there was no attachment because it was like already so done. And then I won, runner up in the writers contest and got my book deal. So it's like, but I knew before I even went there. And so that's like the embodiment. And my guess is like the same for you, Jeff. Like there's this knowing as things have been manifesting in your life. Like it's not a question of if you're going to have a lake house, or if. It's just like you knew, and then there was the surrender and the detachment, and then it showed up as a conversation at CrossFit instead of you, let me find my lake house and I'm going to find it, and search. It's like it got to surprise you. It got to show up in a way that you didn't even imagine it was going to show up. And that's where, like, and no matter what we're stepping into, and this conference being as an example, like, how do you surrender and have zero expectations or zero conclusions about what it could even be for you, and keep the field wide open to all the infinite possibilities, and let it be ridiculously delightful and surprising? Because that's what real manifestation is. Otherwise, it's
Right.
just efforting.
Yeah, and that's the space actually where I was originally last year when I got the qualification letter and I was pushing that forward. It was part of it was dreaming, right? So it was very intentional there. But then I was almost forcing that space a little bit, like, oh, we can do this now. And I look back on it now as through the lens of what you were just saying, and I'm like, yeah, that's what's happening. And because it wasn't the right timing, it was actually making Elisa not uncomfortable, but she's like, it just she knows me, so she lets me do my thing. She's very she accepts that space just as I get to with her. So but sometimes I can be like moving along like this, and she's like, well, I'm not there right now. And like I said, that's not a thing that this is a thing we do together. And that's, and when it happened, when we were in synergy, like this time, it was just like, it's done. It's
Easy.
done, you know? Amy wrote, how do you learn to create what you want in your business based on desire versus income? And I'll start with this is that's where it's your heart's desire. So where I shared today was it's like, what is your heart's desire? Right. So it wasn't like, oh, I want where I finished off today is I said, oh, by the way, my businesses last year blew everything out of the water, but I wasn't focused at all on my business. So it was my what is my heart desire in my world so I can live my values of simplicity and connection and whatever else they were, right? As a few. And so as I begin to create that, I create it in my reality, and then my business followed. So it wasn't like I focused on my business. I literally, this is right here. You recognize this, Stacy,
Oh
right?
yeah. Uh-huh.
When I hired her, she sent this to me and it says, pop the cork, your business is set to soar. I'm thrilled to guide you towards consistent $100,000 months. This champagne and chocolate symbolizes the sweet success ahead, right? Here's to our remarkable achievements. This has not left my desk. And I got this, I'm like, $100,000 months? What do I even want $100,000 month for? Like, what does that even mean? You know? And so where I'm going with this with the heart's desires was, and I share numbers for the sake of understanding. When I asked what the car, that first car that I drove, that Audi, and he said the $72,000, and I just felt it. And then the BMW I ended up getting was 77. Like that month, I sold $70,000 worth of coaching. I had never done that ever. And I didn't like try, like, here's what I want to do. Like, so that's, I don't, you're going to be able to translate this, Stacy, because this is what you do. That so I set my heart's desire. My heart's desire wasn't to have a $70,000 month in coaching. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was this vehicle, but it wasn't even the vehicle, it was the experience and who I was. And then that followed. And that's how we do it. We intend, we desire, we go after, and that's where money can flow through. Money can flow through that space because I had an intention. And how is that going to be created? I don't know. But then it showed up. And it showed up for my next car, which was more, which was over 90. And guess what I took in revenue that month? Same fucking number. These numbers, I can't even tell you how those were created. It's and this is, and it's so weird for me because I don't ever talk numbers. Those that know me, I don't ever market numbers. I don't talk income. I'm never ever like that. And that's why this is so not about money. It's about desire and what can be created from that.
Yeah, money, like as you're describing all that, it's like the knowing, well, most of us are doing it backwards. Like, oh, when I make the money, then I'll figure out how I'm going to spend it. Or if I make this much money, then I know I can have whatever I want, but I'm not even going to say what I want because I don't really know what I want, but I want to make this much money because then I know that once I figure out what I want, then I can, you know, get it because I'll have the money. You know, it's like there's such a like inverse relationship with money, and everything that you just described is exactly it. Like the vision always exceeds the resources, but what it does is it creates the desire, the vision exceeds the current resources, but what it does is it creates a magnetic pull for those
Yeah.
resources to start to show up. And so like you're just this living beautiful example of that. And the crazy thing is, and this is where like I'm just going to go into, this is me going into my past self a little bit, but this is like, I can't say this enough. Like when we say yes to things, everything you said yes to, Jeff, the money wasn't there when you said yes to it, energetically or even physically. A lot of times, like it comes afterwards. And so I've just come to know this over and over again, that when I feel something in alignment, I never look like if the resources are there because I know they must be, or I wouldn't be feeling this desire to step into it in this time. And so it's not pushing like I'm going to push my resources beyond where they are because I'm saying I want this car, but it's saying like if I walk into a car lot and that car is available and it is like that is mine, like that is representative of exactly who I am, I'm not going to go back and look at my bank account. I'm just going to know
I have the resources. I have the resources to bring this home right now because I'm feeling this desire in this moment and this knowing that it is mine and it is done. Why am I going to wait to say yes to something that everything inside of my soul is saying yes to? It's not my ego. It's not my mind. It's that heat that we feel like that's the discernment. It's not saying yes because, there's no because. It's a yes, like yes. And if it's a yes, you don't go back and say, can I afford it? And it's like you do, but I'm saying the way that we're playing is like you say yes and you make the move and then the money follows, exactly as Jeff is saying. But the second that we deny the yes, we are giving all of our power to the money as opposed to the power to our truth and to who we are and to the universe that we are being guided into. So every mastermind, every mentor I have hired, even if the money is there, like Jeff, you felt the stretch of that first investment. Like, I've never invested this much money to work with anybody, and I've worked with really amazing coaches. But it's like the money was there, but also it didn't feel like it was there. And I think that's where else people get confused. And I sometimes get lost is like, oh, I don't know. It's like, well, if the desire is there and it's showing up for you right now and showing you that it's available to you, the resources are there. You just might not be comfortable with how those resources are going to be allocated. And then the money comes in and refills those resources, whether that's credit, whether that's tapping into investments, whether that's whatever. It's there. You just thought it should all be there in a different way. And so now we're ignoring that it's there, even though the desire is showing you it's time.
100%. And that's also where what I said earlier, right? Financial anxiety does not exist when money is spent in alignment with your truest heart's desires.
It's not, because you just know. You just know. It's like
Yes.
and as you refine this discernment of circulating money in alignment with your desires and in alignment with your wholeness and completeness and not fear or lack or whatever it may be, it's like it's an exciting part of the game to like the detachment that you talk about, Jeff. Like you step into these things and then you don't think about, okay, now I need to go make the money. How do I make this money? I just made this big investment. You're just like, all right, we'll see how it comes. And it just shows up for you. Like money is meant to, money wants to show up for us. But we have to show up for us before money can ever fucking show up for us.
Period. Karen, how do we differentiate between a fear-based no and an intuition-based no? I'm just gonna say like you know. I'll use the same word no, like you know. If you're thinking about it too much, that's a fear-based no. If you're deliberating and going back and forth on it, a no is a no. When it's intuition-based, it just you can't ignore it. It will just keep coming back. It won't ever go away.
Yeah. You can't think your way through intuition. And so back to like what you were saying, Jeff, like sometimes we're trying to discern so fast if it's intuition or mind or fear or whatever it may be. And it's like sometimes the only way that you can know is to let it go because the intuition will come back as the whisper. But sometimes we just start thinking and thinking and thinking like, is this no because I'm scared, or is this no really my intuition? And that all that thinking cuts you off from being able to hear the truth of the intuition because of a sense of urgency, or like we need to make the decision right this second. It's like you can give it all the space in the whole wide world. And even just planting that little seed that says, I don't know what this is right now, but it will reveal itself to me in the right time. Let it all freaking go. And it always comes back, like Jeff said.
Eugenie wrote, what resources could you offer to practice manifestations from a soul space? I'm just gonna say this, fuck the practice. Like play the game. And I'm saying this to you, Eugenie, because we work together. And like I've seen this with you with your teaching, and you're just taking the year off and traveling and doing like that was you manifesting what your soul desired. And I'm sure, yes, I think you sold a property and like you worked your ways through some things. We still got to work. This doesn't mean I'm gonna just go buy $100,000 car and just figure it out. Like there's other pieces involved, but from a premise standpoint, yes, that's what it is. So the resources, there's no resources, in my opinion, for when you do this from a soul space, there's no practice. It's actually playing the game full out. What are you feeling and going after it and owning it.
Yeah. I would say the words that are coming to me are chop wood and carry water. So it's like in the meantime. I love that phrase, like in the meantime. So I'm going to cast this vision. I'm going to tap into the desire and I'm going to cast the vision and I'm going to hold the knowing. I'm going to declare and so it is. I don't know when and I don't know how, but it is mine and it's like that's the surrender. Now I'm surrendering. And now in the meantime, I'm going to chop wood and carry water. I'm going to show up. Only now I'm going to show up as though that vision is inevitable. I don't know when and I don't know how, but I'm going to show up and I'm going to still brush my teeth and I'm still going to take a shower. It's the same in your business. Like you're still going to eat 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day if you're fasting or whatever it may be, but like you still are just showing up in your day-to-day life. But now you're starting to say, I'm showing up as though the vision that I just casted is inevitable. And here's what's so cool. This came to me when you think about desire and when you really let yourself go to like the biggest, craziest, wildest desire, which uh, I've had some coming in that it's like, I don't even, that's like out of this world sort of desires. Like, holy shit, like talk about a refining evolution. But, but, uh, oh my gosh, I just lost it. I did just lose it. Well, maybe it'll come back. Hmm. Chop wood and carry water. Chop wood. Thanks for bringing it back, Brooke. Chop wood and carry water. Um, the oh yes, this was it. So it was. Do you realize, like, if you really think about how, like Jeff, everything that he's manifested in this last 18 months, less than, at the end of the day, probably 90% of your life is still exactly the same.
All of it is.
Yeah, more than 90%. So we keep thinking
Like it really is.
yeah, like you still are connecting with your spending time with your son the same way you've always spent time with him. You're still doing all these things exactly the same. And when where we give our power away to our vision is when we believe it's going to be our savior or we believe it's going to be the answer to something in our life. But when we sit back and remember when I say chop wood and carry water, move through your life because most of your life, if not all of it except for maybe this much just your environment's changing a little bit when you sit in your car or when you sit in your lake house or when you sit in your boat, but this much is the only part that's changing and we're so focused on how that little sliver is going to be so transformational for our lives. And that's where you have 99% of the rest of your life to chop wood and carry water as though you already are in that 1% sliver that you have cast for your vision. And that's like true manifestation is like be him or her who already has received the fullness of your desire in the easiest ways, not when you look at your bank account and say, I'm him, I'm her, I have this much in the bank and it's empty. That's not the place to try and align your energy. Just align it in the 800 infinite other ways of who you will be exactly the same in so many ways.
I'm gonna say this too. This is the part where I come in with the mechanics of things, right? Um, Also, don't ever underestimate just the work. Like the work, setting yourself up like, you see people sharing things and magnificent changes and stuff like that. And this is the internal work. But then there's just like the work over time and being responsible and setting yourself up for success and understanding how to live your life and being fiscally responsible. And I think there's something, I feel it's important to have those things. Like I'm doing a 12-week program. It's a men's midlife program, a body transformation. Because I've been fit my whole life, and I was in the fitness industry, and I would say I had a 7-figure body, right? And over the last years, I've still am very fit, but I haven't played at that game. I haven't played at that level. And in these, like my future self, the future timeline of me, oh my God, he is like that guy again. He's like ripped and solid and jacked and like it's I'm in process right now. But what I'm saying is that like my transformation in these 12 weeks can be super drastic because since college I've been working out and I've been working out, period. There hasn't been like, other than a surgery or whatever like that, I've been working out. So my foundation's there. So I can come into these 12 weeks and really dial in and have that heat and focus and come out on the other end and you can be like, what the fuck, right? But had I, for the past 20, 30 years, been living out of alignment with activity and exercise and food, and I was, instead of 15, 20 pounds of body fat that it wasn't necessary and didn't serve me, had 100, and my muscles, etc., weren't as trained, then that transformation would be that much different, you know?
Such a good analogy.
So it's just like the speed of transformation, the speed with which this can happen, right? So the speed with which I share all this stuff and even this last month, what the frig? People in my life are like, dude, what? I'm like, hey, I got a few things to tell you. Here's what happened in the last week. I got a lake house, I got a boat, and I got married. What the? You know what I mean? Like, and so the speed with which that happens has a lot to do, I believe, with solid work. It's the consistency over time. It's the simplicity. It's putting in that work. It's building the foundation, which all of this can launch off of really quickly.
Yeah.
That's my experience. That's what I share. Um, anyway.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I think that's where, like, actually, I used to have this messaging. We're just shifting my website to bring it into alignment. I used to have this messaging about unhustling, and it's like, it's never been unhustling. And I called it unhustle because what I didn't realize, one of my clients said to me once, he's like, you talk about unhustle all the time, but I've never seen somebody hustle as much as you do. And what I realized is that there's a conscious hustle, there's a conscious movement, that it doesn't feel like hustling because there's such deep love and enjoyment for every single aspect and movement that you're making. And so I hear a lot from, coaches or entrepreneurs. They're like, I just want to coach. I don't, it's like, but what if you fell madly in love with all of the other steps because you have that available to you? When you do things in alignment, marketing, selling, creating content, the only reason that we're not feeling like that pattern that you're talking about, the consistency over time and resisting it, is because we think it's out of alignment, not that we're out of alignment. And so it's like when we start to realize, hold on a second, I get to choose how I experience absolutely every step I take, whether it's brushing my teeth, doing the dishes, whatever it may be, cook anything that you think you don't like to do. It's not a thing that you're doing challenge. It's a thing inside of you that you like. When you start to realize that you can find bliss, unconditional love, joy, and ridiculous happiness in absolutely everything. And that's the chop wood and carry water. You can find that moving rocks, taking a rock from one side of the room to the other side of the room. You can find that in chopping wood. And so that's the space that you're talking about, Jeff, where it's like you just get into the process and you allow the process to bring you home to those truths instead of resisting the things that you think are below you, or you only have to do it so that you can get to the thing you really want to do. But it's like, what if everything that you're doing is the thing you really want to do? Because that's available to you. And that's the conscious hustle. And that's moving with speed. And that's moving with like superhuman productivity, because it's that joy in absolutely every little tiny thing that you are doing that is pure magnetism and drives things, collapses timelines, and creates like what Jeff said, in 1 week all these things happen. That's collapsing timelines, not doing it, not avoiding it, not pretending it doesn't exist, not doing it so that you can do the thing you really want to do. It's finding your full whole future version of yourself in every little tiny thing that you are doing.
Yeah. And collapsing the timeline where that future self is you. It just, right? That's the collapsing the timeline is that future self that once was your future self just can instantly, like, it can collapse any minute, any second, and that now that person is you.
Yeah. And so many people think, oh, once I'm there, though, I won't be doing this. And it's like that in and of itself is the thing that's keeping you from getting there.
Mhm. Absolutely. Stacey, just so you know, there's a Q&A question there that's specifically for you, probably just to answer. You could answer out loud or write it as well.
Oh, goodness. I have no clue. The only thing human design to me is I use it mostly as a portal to channel. Anything mechanical about it, I like, it makes me feel sick to my stomach. So I can't even answer that.
Yeah. And and like for everyone here too, like Brooke wrote, this is the second time this week hearing chop the wood and carry water, and you've never heard it before, right? And so you love the synchronicities, but now just for yourself, you deserve to understand why that's coming up for you. Why is that coming up? Why is that showing up? What does it mean to you? How does that translate into your work at this point? And there's a ton more questions you can ask yourself because I'm sure you're a phenomenal coach. And right, it's all the stuff that we learned as coaches. That's why I wanted to go through my notes today because all the questions that Stacy would ask me and that I ask myself, I, I've noticed every pivotal moment in my life where I've created massive shifts and manifested results that significant results. All results are fantastic, but the ones that really change directions have been through those questions. And so I found that those for me those questions are super important to know what those are and to keep those in front of you so we can remember. Um, and so that's but as coaches, it's the questions we can begin to ask ourselves. And knowing you're so powerful that you can ask yourselves the biggest questions because those are the ones that will scare you the most.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we're in flow, like be loud, be strong, roar. Like I was yelling, I just yell. My wife's just like, why do you yell in your office all day long? You yell. You have a microphone, you yell. Even my son who's next door, not now, but like he's like, Dad, you just talk so loud. Like just roar, roar this out there. Like you all are so fucking powerful and strong. And we just all, and that's why we wanted to come here today to show where our vulnerabilities are. We're no different than anybody, right? But we all zap our own energy from these blocks that we can have. But when we're aligned, we're so strong and we're so powerful. And each of you have so much. Like you came here today for a big reason. And it wasn't just because like, oh, I like Stacy, I like Jeff, either one or both of the other, and like, oh, this sounds cool. Like, yeah, but there's something more than that. You were here for a very specific reason. And if you don't know really what that is, it wasn't just to take this all in. That's a part of it, but it's what is going to unlock and unravel for you. Like look into that like fiercely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going golfing later. I'm afraid of what's gonna happen out on that course. These people are like, who is this guy showing up?
I love that you just said that too, because as we're talking about like I have nothing else on my calendar today either, and I think even over these past number of years, I've been almost embarrassed to say like how little I work. Like it's so spacious, and I just want to share that because that might be a part of your desire, but you might not know that that's like a real thing that you can create incredible revenues that amplify your values and also like work very little. I know that sounds like, something that kind of more manipulative marketers or marketing might say, yet guess what? Like that, if that's your desire, like that reality is there at even high conscious entrepreneurship and growth. So I love that you're going golfing. It's like living life fully is the freaking business strategy. Like living life and
It's
business fully is the strategy.
I share that with my coaches a lot. I'm like, it's not to build a business. Like it's nothing to do with the business. Like we love what we do. Where it's passion, it's fulfillment, it's whatever, but that's not it. Like it's beyond there. I want you to create more than enough so that the more than enough part is how you get to play full out, you know? And it's so funny. Amy wrote, I came to unfuck myself. And I read that just a second ago as I came to unlock myself.
Oh, funny.
And I want to say that, Amy, because I know you and I wonder what that means. Like you wrote unfuck, but I read it as unlock first. But also I just want to share intuitively, um, understand if it's unlocked because you wrote yes, that too. What are you unlocking yourself for or towards? Because until there's that and that's known, there nothing can happen. I don't know, I'd say nothing can happen, right? But like you're we until there's the desire, now you're just working on unlocking yourself, but to what extent? And now you're focusing on what's locked and what's frozen. And like as coaches from Bruce, right? It's like you walked up to a locked fence, and the therapist is going to help you figure out who locked it and why. As coaches can help you get to the other side, right? So now it's like you're working on this lock. So I just urge you. I'm just speaking from that space of well, unlocking yourself or unfucking yourself for what? To what extent and what desire? Because that's what's the most important. Because then you might not even have to unlock yourself at all. It's like you can skip all that work. Like you just go towards it, and just you let it go of everything, and it just falls. That's what I have to say.
Love it. Yes. We seen anything else here, Jeff, or what are we feeling? Completion?
You know what I feel? I feel with everyone here, we could stay in this space for a very long time. You know, it's just like I think we just want to sit here, but I do feel complete. I feel like there could be so much more to say, but and I feel like there's a space. This has been a incredible space. I'm so glad and grateful that this came about and that you were like, yeah, let's go, let's do this.
Me too. Me too. Meant to be.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, yeah, I'm feeling the same completion. I feel like anything further just will move us into overthinking. I feel like pulling one anchoring nugget into your existence and experience over the next 48 hours, you received more than you could have ever asked for. And if you're trying to take the notes and get it all down, and that might cause you to miss the one thing that creates the thing that your soul was actually here for. So yeah, feels complete.
Yeah. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, everyone. And I have a feeling at some point in the future this will be created again.
I have the same sense.
Yeah,
The story will continue.
because this is it's just so fun. It's so fun. So thank
Amazing.
you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you all. And we'll see you when we see you.
Bye, everyone.